and welcome to a special episode. And this is an informational episode, which is something very special. And it came across my desk, and I thought it was pretty amazing. So I have two guests here, and I'm going to let her introduce Suchi, introduce you and Andrew.
Yes. Thank you so much, Wayne, for having us. Yes, so my name is Suchi Yernani, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Amy LLC. And I have my boss and business partner here with me today through Zoom, and his name is Andrew Lavenziano. And we are here to promote a product to make people's lives easier, hopefully. AMY stands for Artificial Intelligent Multiple Microwave Evolution. And what that is essentially, you know how you have the standard typical microwave that only can accommodate one person at a time. This would be able to accommodate two, three, or four users at the same time. So it could really speed up, help a lot of situations where people need to eat lunch at the same time.
Right. Andrew, you came up with this idea, correct?
I
I
did,
did,
actually.
actually.
Why?
So back in 2009, um, when my life was extremely busy raising two boys, I found myself having to leave my office in Manhattan down on Wall Street, run back home, put a meal together that I already put together the night before, and to put all this in the microwave in and out for myself, my two boys, maybe a friend or two of theirs that were on my team that I was all coaching at the time. Um, it was just this labor intensive back and forth, and I pulled it out. We all wanted to eat together, and then this plate was cold. I had to put it back in. And so luckily I had another one in the basement. I stacked it on top of one another, and maybe, I don't know, a couple of months to a year later, I had my son, who was 13 at the time, draw up a sketch. And here we are today. I mean, it took me quite some time to get the patent. It was originally filed in 2014, and it was issued in 2018. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically where it came about. It was just on a whim of having a need to get out of the house and get these boys to, the ball, the ball game, and it was just a matter of, it was a time issue. So even the 5 to 10 minutes that it saved me was home run.
I, for me, I get that part of it. I used to work for a bigger company before I became an entrepreneur. And I remember I worked for a company called Sterling Optical. And I remember lunchtime, it would be like everybody's going into the lunchroom at the same time. And we would fight over the microwave. And the problem with that is that some of the people, not me, because I ate simple, had two different items. So by the time they heated one, the other one got cold.
Right.
Okay, and when this came across my desk, or Suchi mentioned it to me, and I think everything happens for a reason, and we met at the chiropractor. Okay, and I said, "This is great," and I said, "I know a lot of people. I've been around a long time. Let me help you bring it to the forefront of people that mattered," and because some hospitals are in the chamber with me and on the board with me, I said, what a great starting space. But I didn't want to give it out until I knew there was some interest. And this probably, I don't know, 4 months now? Five
Yes.
months? So I didn't want to spend time and spin anybody's wheels if it didn't have any ground, any traction. And I heard, hey, what a cool idea. What a cool idea. Where are you at? I know you have a patent and you have a drawing. Where are you at besides that?
Well, right now we're in the middle of actually speaking to one manufacturer that just reached out to me. There is another one that I'm getting ready to approach, but kind of wanted this to maybe be finished because, from what I understand, even from you, Wayne, after we've had a couple of conversations, there are people that have some questions, so maybe we can get some of those answered on here. But where I'm at is, there's really three different avenues we can go with this, right? You could sell the patent. You get a licensing deal, or you could manufacture this thing yourself and put your label on it and, go to town, so to speak. So I'm prepared to do either of those. It's just a matter of myself and Suchi, and obviously your input would be of great, we'll love your input on that as well, and see where we're going to go with this. It's a little bit of a journey, and there's no, overnight to this. It's been,
No.
I don't know, since 2009 since I even thought of it. And I did have someone who was looking to launch this. However, due to the pandemic and due to his health, he had to take this off of his plate, I guess, so to speak, of projects that he was working on. So, so now here we are. I was out doing this on my own, and luckily, Suchi's she's my biggest fan. I got to tell you, because she really brought back a little life in me from the disappointment that I had, during the pandemic. And then after bringing you on board, even if this doesn't go anywhere, I've made 2 great relationships, and very fortunate to have some good people
I
in
believe
my life.
that there's a space for this. If it was my direction would be to license it out and have residual income and license it to people who can manufacture it a lot easier than you can. And that's just my thought.
Mhm.
I think we live in a world, and I've mentioned this to you before, of proof of concept. So for me, time is everything. I think I'm very particular about time. I don't like anybody late. I think it's disrespectful. So I didn't want to take the time in the last 4 months to do anything but to get the product thought out there and see if there was any interest. And I thought when I heard about it, I said, "This is great. This is even in a single use, meaning me having to make dinner and put baked beans in the top microwave and cornbread in the bottom because they don't heat the same, was a great idea." Now, there's more to it than that because you can also add, if I'm correct, a coffee maker on the side.
Yeah, so there's, depending on how the manufacturer is going to be able to fit the components in this. And I did work with a company called Invent SAI that has the engineers in place, has the marketing people in place, the attorneys. So with their engineering specs, they seem to think after putting this all together, and it's all in the patent, that they can do this. So that's almost forgot your question there. What that was.
A coffee chamber on the
The
side.
coffee chamber on the side.
Say that again?
We were talking about the coffee chamber on the side.
Right. So there's actually, how you normally have a bottom plate in a microwave that spins?
Right.
And normally if you see a second place to put a second dish, it's usually like a rack. But there is a spot in this microwave for another shelf to go in with another rotating dish that you can take in or out at your leisure. And then there is another 2 compartments for ramen noodles, if you want to just heat up a cup of coffee.
Or soup.
Any kind of liquid would go in those 2 compartments.
Again, some of the best ideas come out of a need. When I started broadcasting on the internet before anybody else, I didn't think there was a need. I was doing it because it was something different and a challenge. And yet it found its niche, and now everybody is a videographer, photographer, and a talk show host. So it's found its path, and I was blessed to make it happen. And it was just an idea like yours. And how many ideas have come out of garages, okay, and been super successful? I don't know, Slinky, when we were younger, made tons of money.
Right.
Okay? And it was someone's spring. It didn't make any sense to me. And, and Play-Doh and all that stuff. Those were simple things that weren't meant to be what they're now known for.
Mhm.
So I think that that's really kind of cool. Now, you and I had spoken, and we are talking about who manufactures microwaves. What companies do you know that manufactures microwaves?
Well, I mean, your biggest company out there is really Sharp. Sharp is the biggest player that pretty much manufactures. I don't want to speak for whatever companies, whoever they manufacture for, but I know that the branding companies that don't do their own manufacturing, maybe it's your Toshibas or maybe some of your smaller mid-sized companies that will use Sharp to manufacture, their product, and then they just put their brand on.
Yeah, they white
Uh,
label it. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. What do you believe the finished product of, let's just say, the two microwaves would reach a market for price wise? Because microwaves have come down drastically. They're not made really well. And I looked at the diagram for the way you designed this one, and it's really a little more detailed than the microwaves you see today. I mean, do you have an idea of what a price point would be?
well, I don't want to kind of shoot myself in the foot here,
Okay.
but I will say, um, from doing my own research and just looking to see, obviously we'd have to, if I was going to manufacture this myself, they have to form the tooling for it. They have to, a lot of the same components that are in there, but obviously that whole shell would have to be redesigned. But if I was to guess, from an educated standpoint of what I've been looking at, I would think the price point would be somewhere. And Suchi and I spoke about this. There would be different
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 versions.
models, where, right, Sushi, we spoke about this. And there'd be different models where if you were in a very high trafficked area, you're going to need more wattage for that. So if you're in a traffic area where it's just maybe a doctor's office with 20 of you, maybe you don't need that high end one, where you're doing like maybe in a hospital or even a school where it's going to get a couple of hundred uses a day easily. So, I would think somewhere on the low end, somewhere around 800 to 1,000, somewhere on the high end, somewhere between 16 to 1,800. Now, I know that there are companies out there that just do commercial microwaves.
Right.
There's a company called Solace, I believe their name is, and theirs start at somewhere around 800 a piece. That's a single unit. So, it's going to really depend on the manufacturer and the volume that we have that manufacturer make these.
And I did want to add, we would like for these microwaves to have smart features
Okay.
where the user could get a text alert when their food is ready. Because I've noticed I've been in situations where I go into the break room, I pop my food in for 5 minutes, and I'm so busy, I really need to get back to my desk and say that my food is going for 5 minutes. That's great. I get back to my desk, and then I get a phone call, which might take 8 minutes. And then I might be so distracted and I might forget that I have food in there. How nice would it be to get a text reminder? Hey, Suchi, your food's ready. And if it notices I haven't come by in several minutes, maybe a reminder text like, hey, would you like a reheat of 30 seconds? I've noticed you haven't come by. I mean, there's possibilities for smart features. So some units could have a smart feature and some units may not have a smart feature, but we would like to incorporate some smart features into these microwaves.
Well, I mean, we live in a world of automation, and I think that as the world goes on and AI and
Exactly.
would open the door for these units to do a lot more than XYZ microwave that sits on the counter. My question is, will it fit on a counter in someone's house underneath the cabinets and the counter? I know there's a size scenario. I measured my house when you and I were talking on the phone, and it fit in my house on the underneath the cabinet. Okay, on the counter underneath the cabinet. But I don't know if everybody's houses are different. But I think that is that something that the plans could be adjusted for lack of a better word.
Is that a question for Suchi or myself?
Well, since you have the plan, you can tell me.
Okay. Well, so I think the average height between your countertops and the bottom of the countertops and the bottom of your cabinet is somewhere around 18 inches. I think with newer modeled homes, it's usually it may go up to 20, and in commercial spaces, from what I understand, it's up to even 22 inches. So we probably make it to fit all three. It doesn't make any sense to have different dimensions. It's gonna make the manufacturing process cumbersome. So I think if you make it fit, the basic 18-inch countertop to cabinet bottom, and I think it kind of covers all bases there.
Okay, so I did this video with you guys just to kind of get the idea out there. But the plan is we're going to do, moving forward, a bunch of shorter videos, maybe 3 minutes, 2 minutes, talking about features of the unit. And I'm not sure, we might do them on podcast, just audio, so that people can listen in the car also. But we'll kind of play that by ear. But I wanted people to get an idea of what it is, okay, and what you're putting out there and where you expect it to go, which was why this video was there. Andrew, Suchi, I want to thank you for coming on. Everybody, just keep an eye. You got to check it out. We're going to be putting up more and more stuff so you get a better handle, and expect to see this on the market. My goal is in the next 12 months, you'll see it on the market. We shall see if I can take that challenge. Andrew, I'll talk to you in a bit. Everybody else?
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
thank you,
Appreciate the time.
Wayne.
Oh, you're welcome. We'll be right back.